We have got next up, we have got Kerrie and Ged from the World Communities. Kerrie is the Director and Service Manager, and Ged Pickersgill is the Senior Business Development Manager. And the World Communities are a holistic support to people and communities who are moving on from drug and alcohol addiction. But I think the key and the thing that they're going to talk about today is the fact that they are a lived experience community, which means that all their staff and volunteers have lived experience. And I think that's one of the factors that means that they do provide something that is really holistic. But I think I'll hand over to Kerrie and Ged to explain that and tell us a bit more about the work that they do.
Okay, thank you, Lenny. Just to say hi, everybody. It is really, really good to be here. Been massively inspired by the presentations that have gone before us, and I think one of the really encouraging things is it seems that we're all on the same page. So we're not really preaching to the converted here. And I think probably, after the conference and the relationships that we do build, within this time, we can perhaps pick up some of those gaps or shared learning and, closer working together. As Lenny said, we are a lived experience recovery organisation. And what I found really interesting when some people introduced themselves, when they talked about the background and what qualified them to do the job. Well, I was a heroin addict for 15 years, which makes me quite well qualified to actually work in this field and really help bridge some of the gaps and make some changes to services really based on my own experience and that of our staff members. So I'm here today with Ged, who's my wingman, friend and colleague. So what I will do is I will play the video. I just want to say thanks to Tony as well. We're really proud with what we can show you today. And I think it was great for us to actually see what we do. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes you know what you do, but you don't really know what you do. And then you're not always massively aware of the impact right across the board. So there was a few tears shed when we actually got to watch this video back ourselves. We showed it some of the staff in the organisation. So all that we're relying on now is me being able to share it on Teams.
We absolutely did. We destroy families. We destroy our own children. We destroy our friendships.
It's making me a different person. Scaring myself, scaring my family.
Sharing equipment, needles, and
I've moved 26 times as well, from
killing herself. She got heavy on crack cocaine,
running away from myself.
And she was found dead.
People become addicts because they have an inability to cope with daily life. It could be childhood experiences, it could be current problems, it could be marital breakups, it could be a variety of things. But people do tend to use substances as a coping mechanism.
We help people to recover from drug and alcohol addiction and mental health problems, kind of using a lived experience approach. So what we have in our organisation is a number of years of experience, for all the people, through all the people who work for us, who have been part of statutory services, who have kind of done the rounds with the doctors, who have been in and out of hospital for various reasons. And collectively, what we all realise is there was just that bit of something missing, which is the lived experience approach, just to have someone at the point of crisis, or to have the services in the community that's full of people who've lived the life that you've lived, and kind of help get you on your way, really. So it's not a professional client dynamic.
We use the strengths of individuals, our communities, our staff team to work collaboratively for the best outcomes for people who we support. Those people can be street homeless, people with mental health difficulties, people with substance misuse problems, social isolation, food poverty, technology poverty, individuals with criminal histories, the general public, invariably. We're in the business of resetting moral compasses. That's what we do. We reset moral compasses. And once our compass is reset, you find a really productive member of society who will go over and above to help the next man.
We need to get away from this perception that a drug addict is someone who walks the streets, an alcoholic is someone that's sitting there with a bottle of wine on the floor. Sometimes it's people sitting in a lovely, comfortable house drinking bottles of wine every night.
In Lancashire and Cumbria, we've got housing projects, we've got supported housing, where we've got a DayAB programme that runs alongside. So it's a little bit like rehab, but slightly different. So we have houses dotted around in the community, because what we feel is really important is that people don't really go to a house on a hill away from society to recover. We believe that if the community's kind of fertilised well enough, and if there's enough going on in communities that people can have access to, they can actually recover from the communities where they've actually been drug addicts and alcoholics. So in Kendal and in Morecambe, in Barrow, and a new project that started in Carlisle, I think we've currently got about 52 beds that we operate across both those areas. We also work alongside statutory drug and alcohol services, which is Humankind and CGL. So we kind of fulfil various roles. We give a lived experience perspective to the service users that come through that service.
I'm senior of a small team, and we work with people with dual diagnoses, mental health and addiction problems. We primarily work out of the RLI, but we also get referrals from all the local GPs and mental health services.
To me, it is an organisation that saved my life, gave me my life back, and made me who I am today. I give addicts a bit of hope. I empower them into treatment, encourage them, support them through the journey.
It was a long progression for me over a couple of decades. My drinking got worse and worse and worse, and to a point where I was completely broken and left with nothing. I'd lost everything that I'd built up. My family was disowning me, rightly so, because I was bringing them down with me, and I turned up. I was luckily enough, I got put on the waiting list to go to the well, and I thought it wasn't going to work, but I'll give it a go because I'm living in a garden. So I thought I'd give it a go, and as soon as I got there, I realised that it's the place for me, because these people were just like me. Their stories were the same as mine, but now they're not drinking. Wow, I want to be like that. Every time I speak to somebody, I can see myself in them. And I want to help them, and not just them, the families too.
So we've got staff that work in the Royal Lancaster Infirmary. So if you come to a hospital, essentially people are coming to get patched up, but if what's sitting behind that is an issue with drugs and alcohol or mental health, you will be referred to our staff who can actually help you at the point of crisis. Where you're in the hospital, they can support you whilst you're on the wards, and what they can do is help that transition into the community. So you're kind of not discharged alone, and you've got recovery services and health and wellbeing services to go to. So what we like to do is use the people who have recovered in that community to actually work in that community as well, you see. So one thing that we do focus on is our kind of professional relationships as well. So the amount of kind of multidisciplinary meetings that we go to, professional meetings, community meetings, that's really high on our agenda, so people can fully understand the services that we offer and what the referral pathways are. We work in Old Coast Prison in Liverpool, so we have a couple of guys that work there through the gate workers, so they will do the group work with the men in Old Coast Prison, and what they do is provide that through support.
Worked for quite big newspaper groups for a period of time, ran 35 cash converters in and around central London, had my own shops, destroyed all that with crack cocaine and alcohol. Systematically destroyed my partner, my children, my family. Came into the well communities on the 15th of June 2015, 7 stone, no clothing. Subsequently became a part-time volunteer coordinator, August 2016, full-time January 2017. Currently I engage with stakeholders across Cumbria and occasionally North Lancashire. I try to pass a message of recovery wherever I go.
One of the things high on our agenda is our capacity to asset map and really know an area very well, because what we don't want is for people to come to us for help and actually get stuck with us as well, because that can quite often happen. So I think collaboration is really high on our agenda, so we're constantly looking for other organisations to refer people to. We're looking at ways where we can work together, you know, from a multidisciplinary approach, and we're just firming what we can do. But then equally, I mean, we're not clinicians, so we can't do the clinical element, but what we will do is make sure that we're connected enough and we have that relationship with the other professionals so we can get the clinical need met. You know, where we can't meet a housing need, we will be we'll work collaborative, you know, with councils, we'll work collaborative with the drug and alcohol services as well. So I think for us doing this role, it's very much about knowing what we're good at, but equally having our eyes on what everybody else is good at as well. So then people get the benefit of a whole system approach. They don't just get stuck in a particular organisation that's trying to do everything for them.
The lived experience element of our work tends to, should we say, it really complements the work that the NHS do. We work really closely inside the hospital with people, we'll work really closely with the discharge coordinators, we'll walk out of the hospital with them, we will go and move the vodka bottle out of the way, we will move invariably crack pipes and that kind of stuff, cigarettes, got cig stumps, help them tidy the place up, and then we'll take them into community-based support. Now, the only way we can build the relationship with the patient is to firstly build the relationship with the ward nurse and the ward staff.
We go into the hospital twice a week, and we actually go to people's bedsides, and that's including the A&E department. So we work closely with the local alcohol team in the hospital and the mental health liaison team. So we generate our own referrals by talking to people, and they've been asked the question, do you need some help? Would you like to talk to somebody from the well? And what we do is we talk to them, and we instantly they get that visible recovery, because I can say to them, I was in this bed about 5 years ago, you know, and this is what happened to me. But that connection's instant, you know, and they say, well, if he can do it, I'm going to have a little go. Most of the time, we don't actually get the result we want straight away. But what we have done is sown some seeds.
Once they've been patched up and kind of sent on the way, one thing that we can then do is give that through support, you know, supporting the community, and really ensure that they're not keeping coming back to the hospitals, which is not entirely the right place, you know, for people to find recovery. So I think it's about us really knowing what we're good at, and all the other professionals knowing what they're good at, and really looking at how we can all work together and looking at the pieces that are missing.
What I would like to say is just thank you for everybody who has helped me on my journey and continues to do so today. I love you all, and that's from my heart. I was a heroin addict. I took anything for many years. Spent 10 months in the well, learned a lot of life skills throughout. When I got in stage 2, I was allowed to volunteer. A job came up for the well communities. I'm like, this is where my heart is, so, and like recovery, I'm very passionate about it.
Coming out of the pandemic, I mean, it's been a tricky time for all of us. You know, it's been dotted with kind of moments of crisis management, because obviously new legislation comes in. Sadly, business has increased. You know, there's a lot more people probably. Well, there were people going into the pandemic that might not have wholly identified that they had a drug or alcohol problem. The pandemic might have tipped them over the edge. Equally, those people in recovery may also now be struggling with the mental health where they might not have struggled with the mental health before.
How old were you then when you first used amphetamines?
You know, we did absolutely everything that we could to get to people. So I think we had probably different freedoms, you know, to other organisations. But again, because we're a lived experience recovery organisation, I think collectively we all thought, what would we do if there was a pandemic and we're in addiction, or we're alcoholics, or we're out of work? You know, we've got no food. So we did as much as we possibly could. One of those things was increasing our food provision because we could get to people through food. So we set up food clubs everywhere. Then what we could do is we could have them one-to-one conversations with people. So they were coming to us for food parcels, but we could still have the therapeutic conversation and still be able to refer people and let them know that they're not by themselves and that, you know, we're still here. So, and we started a shop as well. We set up another supermarket, a well-fed social supermarket in the pandemic, because again, a lot of people were hit really hard. financially, and that was another way that we could actually speak to people, get to people and provide support.
The only qualification for membership of our organisation, and it is a membership because we're a community of individuals who help each other, we're a community within our community. The only qualification for membership is a desire to change.
Once I'd left the well, I'd left a completely changed person. All the family that I'd pushed away wanted to know me again, because not only did they say that they've got me back, they've got a better version of me back.
I mean, look at me. You know, I'm sat here right now. I own a pair of shoes. I own a shirt. I pay gas, electricity. I pay water. You know, I've got a TV license. You know, I'm a citizen these days. I'm a citizen. I can pass this message of recovery on, and it is possible.
I've made some proper friends that are actually there for you.
I feel like I've been born again.
I feel free, you know, feel like my puppet strings have been cut, and I can breathe. I can go to bed every night with a clear conscience. I've not hurt anyone today, and I'm clean.
I'm emotional again. Well, I was going to hand over to Ged. I mean, I was chatting to Ged earlier, and you know, just a really important point about co-production, really. So, if you'd like to share a little bit of that, Ged.
Morning, everybody. We are still mourning. I'm quite emotional myself because every single individual on the video I see walk through the doors with their mother, father, brother, sister, professional, completely broken in many, many ways. Cormac Russell suggests around the asset-based community development model that we need to create an alternative future which is co-produced by the very people that live in that future. That's what we do. That's what we do here at the Well. We see people's strengths as opposed to deficits. The people we deal with, we don't deal with low-hanging fruit. We get some of the most complex people in society on a daily basis. We work to what people need. You'll notice today the absence of an S. Oh, I've got my Chateau Neuf de Pape London 2015. When was the last time I had a drink t-shirt on? I didn't realise. Apologies. I don't have an S underneath this shirt. People come to us to fix them as though we can offer some type of reparation process. You know, that simply isn't the case. People have the ability from within, with our companionship and our guidance, to enable them to foster real, not tokenistic, behavioural change. Partnership working, co-production, lies at the very heart of what we do. Doesn't just look like we will fill a funding request in and then at the end we'll merge a couple of spreadsheets. Doesn't look like that. Doesn't look like that. We create kind of a symbiotic culture with the agencies and the people we work with. We've worked with Furnace General Hospital since 2016. Dr. Keating bumps into me in the fish aisle in Tesco and asks me questions with regards to our service. We become really familiar. I got invited on the Furnace General Hospital Christmas Works Do in 2018, which I sadly had to decline because I don't drink anymore because I'm kind of allergic to it. We socially model. You know, we break down stigmas and barriers with professionals to people just like me who are real pains in the backside when we use Class A drugs and drink alcohol. So co-production, it's a really good buzzword, but it can't be tokenistic. We have to immerse ourselves with the staff teams that we're working with. We have to become familiar with the working practices of the agencies we're working with. Now, I kind of like the sound of my own voice, I'll be honest with you, because I'm quite well versed with doing this kind of thing. And these days, I'm quite fortunate that I have such an audience as you people who I'm looking at today. I suppose the standout point and the takeaway point from today for me is exactly what I just alluded to. You know, co-production can't be tokenistic. We've got to co-produce with the people at their level, and we've also got to bring the worlds together. And that's kind of my message for today. And again, I make no apologies for passion or emotion. It's a big part of what we do here.
Thank you very much, Jen, and thank you very much for not making any apologies for passion and emotion, because I think it really demonstrates what's needed in co-production and what's needed for people and communities as well, really, in order for the work that we all want to do and the outcomes that we want to see for our communities. It can't be done without that passion. So thank you very much for that. We've had, again, a lot of comments in the chat, people really responding well to what you the video and what you've been saying. I think the striking bit for me was one of your colleagues in the video said these stories were the same as mine, and I think Glenn in the comments echoed that as well, saying, you know, seeing recovery is very powerful and can start people on their recovery journeys. So I think with that, then we've got one question in the chat from Talib, which is how can we help the well? And that's from Talib. I'm not sure if the we is the Health and Care Partnership, if the we is everybody, you know, how can we help?
Might even be my personal budget, Lenny.
Right. So a question there. What do you think? What help do you think you need from the people with the resources, the power to make change?
Did someone mention the B word?
Yeah.
We for a period of time, a colleague, I suppose he's kind of become quite a friend, Kevin O'Hara from Lancashire South Cumbria Foundation Trust. The way we tend to operate is come and have a look at what we do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very biased, and I hold my hands up. You know, I'm very biased. You know, I am, because literally I walked into this project on the 12th of June 2015. You know, after my life was chaos, so I'm going to be really biased. Come and talk to the people who work with us. Come and talk to the residents in Morecambe. Come and talk to the residents who live with us. Talk to the 100+ people that engage in our 7-day-a-week community support group every day. Come and talk to all the family members who we support through the carers contracts that we deliver. You know, come and speak to all the people across North and Central Lancs who we support on the new youth contract. You know, come and speak to people. Come and speak to the very people who make up what we do. We're the name over the door. The well communities is the people who engage with our services, because everything is shaped completely by what they do. My invitation would be, you know, come. You'd be in good company. The Home Secretary came 18 months ago, and I told all the residents that the word kind of got out that there was a VIP coming. And the residents, they love a good gossip. You know, we've got 50 odd residents. They love a good gossip. So I told them it was Fred Elliott. Remember the butcher from Coronation Street? So it was actually Pretty Patel that came. Quite recently, we've had Lord John Baird, who set up the big issue. I'm not going to name drop. I'm good at name dropping as well, you know. But literally, come and have a look at what we do. Please do. Please come and talk to some of the people who use our services. They'll tell you much more than I can, you know, from a real ground level perspective.
Great, thanks, Jed. And I think Talib said he's going to take up your offer and to come to that. Kerrie, anything that you would want to add to that?
No, not really. I think we've probably covered everything. Maybe the final thing would just be relationship. I think everything we do is just rooted in relationship, including, you know, with people who walk through our door, our staff team. You know, we are a big family, but then equally, you know, we've made some really, really good friends, you know, professional friendships as well in the community, because we're all here in this community, aren't we? So there are many dual relationships going on as well. So I just think, for me, one of the main focuses and takeaways would be maintaining and cultivating the relationship, because then what comes out of it is so much better than what comes out of an email, professional kind of, you hide behind what you're doing, I'll hide behind what I'm doing. And I think great things happen, you know, when we step out of that. So, yeah.
Brilliant. So thank you both very much. And also thank your colleagues and friends on the video as well. I think it was really inspiring for us to see that.